I welcome all of you to IBMTV and to this show, which is Dr. Dhawan's Lifechat, and I'm your host, Dr. Sanjay Dhawan. I'm an eye surgeon practicing in New Delhi. The Lifechat is a show which talks about any and all aspects of life, any subject, anything that concerns the life or it improves its quality is what we will be talking about. How to plan for it, how to prepare for it. So we'll be talking about all of this. Looking forward to seeing all of you every Friday night, 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Indian time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Namaste. Namaste. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to wherever you are to yet another session of Dr. Dhawan's Live Chat. Last Friday, we talked about plastic surgery, how to enhance your appearance, how to make yourself look better, how to take care of blemishes, whether it's face or hair or body or whatever part of the body. And we had three phenomenal plastic surgeons of Delhi who told us a lot about what all can be done with plastic surgery to enhance our image and our appearance. And while we were discussing, they also, idea came about that how to take it further, how to make our body appear more artistic. So we thought, why not talk about tattooing and piercing, which are, permanently adding art elements or beauty elements to our body. So today's show is going to be about tattoos and piercings. And I have three beautiful guests with me. And let me call them on stage one by one. I have Suhasini Gour, and along with her colleague Varun Mehta. Suhasini is a young, wonderful tattoo artist who's done a tattoo for me. I'll talk about that later on. And Varun is her colleague who is a piercing artist.
Hello.
Hey, hi, Suhasini, how are you? Hi, Varun, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. Let me call my next guest, and that is another young tattoo artist. Her name is Anoushka Shah, but she's known as Tanshi. So, Tanshi, welcome to the show. Hi, how are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So we have Charu Gaur saying hi to us and Nidhi also saying good evening to all of us now. So okay, let's great. So let's get going. Let me start with my idea of tattoos and how it came. So a few years ago, it came to my mind that I need to get a tattoo done. And then I thought, no, I don't need one. I need three of them. And I numbered them. Tattoo number 1, tattoo number 2, and tattoo number 3. I want to have tattoo number 1 on my left arm, tattoo number 2 on my right arm, and tattoo number 3 on my chest, somewhere over here, recording. And so I started hunting for tattoo artists. This was, I'm talking about almost 6 years ago. And in my hunt, I came across, there were only 1 or 2 people at that point of time in Delhi who were, good tattoo artists and reliable ones. So I zeroed down on one, went to his studio, met him, and talked about my idea of my first tattoo. So we tried a few designs, but nothing appealed to my heart. So I gave up the idea of the first. And I then said, why don't you go for your second tattoo first? So we worked on the design of the second one. So the second tattoo came in actually first, which is on my right arm. And if I can show, it is, yes, I can show it now. It is an infinity sign with my family names written in it. Sanjay, Nidhi, Sanya, and Moksha. They are my wife, me, my son, and my daughter. So the infinity means infinite love, and we are bound together, that infinite love. One loop is me and my wife, the other loop is my kids. That's what it meant to me. And then a few years later, I met one of my friends, one of my college friends, and we were just chit-chatting and sort of a reunion. And then she told me that her daughter is a tattoo artist. And I said, okay, fine, let me see her work. And I saw her work on Instagram, and I was, blown apart. Wonderful work, I said, I know that she's the right person. So I got in touch with her. I told her my idea of my second tattoo. She said, okay, fine, let us work on a design. And on WhatsApp chat, I gave her the concept. She sent back me a few designs, and which looked promising. And she sent me a few more of them. She had sent me about almost 10 designs, and we zeroed down on one. And it was like, I was really amazed by the fixed up a date, went to her, and she did a beautiful, wonderful job on my left arm, which was supposed to be my tattoo number one. And let's see, this is okay. This is a David star, and with words written on it, which is no relation. There's a story behind David Star. In the World War II, at the time of the Holocaust, there's a diktat that all the Jews were supposed to wear a blue star on their left arm, so that they could be identified, persecuted, and also exterminated. I was really moved by that history. I was shaken up by that history, and I really felt sad because millions of people, out of them at least 7 million, were exterminated in the gas chambers of those times. We all know that history. So that left a mark on me, and I wanted to have that David Star on my left arm with a stamp on it, no relation. So that's my second tattoo. And then I thought, okay, fine, let me call this artist here to talk about tattooing. So without wasting any further time, and here we are, we have Suhasini, we have Varun, we have Tanshi. Tanshi is my young patient also. So Suhasini, let me start with you. My original question, which I asked you when I met you also, why do people want to get tattooed?
Why?
What are the reasons? What are the motives? Why do you want to get tattooed?
Lots of different reasons. So, there are two ways to go about it, first of all. One, you have a tattoo with meaning, and second, you have a tattoo only for its aesthetic value, which are both. This is also a question I get a lot, is it okay if I want a tattoo which is only beautiful, it has no meaning? To which I say yes. So the two reasons are why people get tattoos is one, for the meaning of it, and two, for the aesthetic of it, right? So when I say different types of tattoos, there are tattoos to commemorate people, to commemorate events, to commemorate memories, all of that, which is all meaning wise. And I believe once you have maybe 2 tattoos, 3 tattoos, then you move more towards the aesthetic value of it. So then you add on maybe some which are just there for the beauty of it, which are like pieces of art. So that way it is, it's a broad spectrum of everything that's there. But yeah, 2 basic categories are tattoos with meaning and tattoos that are there for the aesthetic.
But our human skin is so beautiful, in itself. Why should we add some odd elements to that?
We did add clothes and shoes and jewelry, and so it's all subjective. Everything we're wearing right now is also things we've put on. This was not how we were.
Right. That's a fantastic perspective. Yes, I completely agree with you. Tanshi, what are your views? Why people get tattooed and why should they get tattooed?
So, am I audible?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So, in my experience, a lot of people who have gotten tattoos from me get it for just fun purposes, just because they like the design. There's no meaning. There's no deep message behind it. They like a design, they put it on their bodies, and it makes them feel good about themselves. And I have tattoos like that too. I have tattoos that have no meaning, but I like them. I put it on my body and I feel good about it. And that's also one of the reasons, apart from getting a meaningful tattoo, that's also one of the reasons I think people get tattoos, for the aesthetic value, as Suhasini said. So yeah, that's also another. You like something, it's also the same as buying clothes or jewelry. You like something and you buy it. So it's just kind of a similar thing with tattoos. You like a design, it speaks to you in a certain way, and you put it on your body and it makes you feel good. Just like certain clothes would make you feel good, a tattoo makes you feel good. And that's why people get it also.
The tattoos, of course, are one aspect, and but you do the piercing part. And of course, both tattooing as well as piercing have been there for ages. The mythological characters had tattoos and they had piercings also. The Kavach Kundalas, we all remember that, and especially the ear piercings were very, very common, both in guys and girls. And the nose piercing has been very traditional in India. So, but now it's gone much further and more prolific. Why? What is the reason for that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Like people, this is all about like the piercings is like it's additional. Usually, like people get piercings, normally piercings like here, normal lobes. But I got tunnels, as you can see.
Yes.
So like
He's asking कि वो इतना advanced क्यों गया? पहले सिर्फ nose piercing
Yeah.
और अब
So initially we do have only on nose and ears. Now we get other parts also.
I think I think
this
it's
is
very similar
beginning.
to experimenting.
Okay.
Just experimenting with. So I'm pretty sure people who did nose piercings at first, maybe after a point they thought, why not other body parts? Why not go further? Why not experiment? Because I think it's a human nature to not just be happy with the status quo.
Yeah.
So we move further. So, and in reality, you can pierce any part of the body just as you can tattoo any part of the body. So
not
I
any
think
part of the body, not any part of the body, but there are like particular places that where you can get piercings. Like according to your ear, like you have a lot of curves on your ear. So
Yeah.
every curve have their own names, or like shape their own
Yeah.
names. So people get belly buttons. People get nipple piercings, and like
Yeah.
a lot of piercings.
I have
but
quite
not
a few myself.
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have quite a few piercings myself now. So
Great. So is are these things addictive also that you get them done once
They
and you
are.
want to add
They are.
more of it?
everything
Definitely they are.
They're addictive.
I think
Definitely they are.
Okay, so of course aesthetics is one, and is this also you feel that an urge to look different from others that makes people go for
Sure.
tattooing and piercing?
That's true.
That's true.
People
I think
want
one of
And
one of the reasons, but
one
yeah,
of
it's
the
true.
reasons.
One, yeah.
Right. So aesthetics, giving a meaning, you conveying a message, and or standing, wanting to be different from the rest. These are the common reasons. Do people also do it for, say, artistic expression?
right.
Yeah.
Because see,
Yeah.
you are all,
Usually-
you're all artists. All three of you are artists. You're doing it as an art form. Do people also take it as an art form and as adding an art element to their body?
Because so
Yes.
many times
Yes.
we get clients who are very open to, they give us complete artistic freedom.
Yeah.
It's very rare. It's
Yeah.
extremely rare.
Yeah.
It happens. But it does happen.
Not,
For when
not
somebody
my
just
kind.
likes,
Not my kind.
some people are very specific. You were very specific. My
Yes.
mom has
Yeah. So does it have a significance as far as nerve compressions are concerned?
this is
And I
about
think this
piercing.
I think this is about piercing.
Yeah.
So any
Basically,
significance in terms of nerve compression? I think probably what she means is that she's trying to kind of make it compare it with the acupuncture or acupressure,
Right.
and whether there's any relation with that or not. So I'm not so sure that medically whether the piercings do have that kind of effect or not. But yes, Nidhi says that some body parts can heal badly and have some seem keloids and hypertrophics. We'll come to those parts later on. But let's get down to the very, very basics. Okay, suppose say I want to get a tattoo done, and how should I decide what tattoo, which part of the body, which tattoo artist, what precautions to take, how painful is it, what care is required? So Asni, let me start with you.
Okay, first question was what tattoo to get?
Yeah.
What tattoo to
Yes.
get, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think over the years I've streamlined my style of work a lot because I do a very specific kind of work. So when somebody comes to me, they come to me for custom artwork because I like to draw my own designs. So that one question I need you to answer for me. That's the only one question you need to answer, is that the tattoo you want. You need to have a concept. Everything else I will do. So placement, you say, with the placement, I like to help my clients when they come to the studio, because that way in person, when you're sitting with somebody, you can tell them the pros and cons of different placements, maybe show them so we make a stencil before we do the tattoo, right? So we can place the stencil maybe in different places and show them where it's going to look nice. And not all of this I don't like to do over the phone, because it can get a little maddening over the phone. So placement that way, concept I need from my clients. What else did you ask me?
That what tattoo to where to get it done, how to choose the tattoo artist, what precautions you would take.
Precaution wise, not much. I mean, with people, before a tattoo, there aren't many things you're supposed to do. Of course, don't drink a lot right before you get a tattoo, stuff like that. Only extreme stuff. Don't go any extreme before you come in for a tattoo. There is an aftercare. After you get a tattoo, you're supposed to take care of it for about 7 to 10 days. So there's more of an aftercare, but before a tattoo, there aren't many things you're supposed to do. You just come in, you have a good meal. Of course, with COVID, we've got other precautions in place. But yeah, that's about it in general.
A common question that everybody asks, me also, that how painful is it? And so what is your answer to that, Suhasini? And I'll ask Tanshi the same question also.
Right. So, everyone has a different threshold, but mostly it's bearable. It depends a lot on the placement. It depends a lot on the size of your tattoo. So, say if of course, you're asking that question because you're getting a tattoo for the first time. So, if you get a small one, it's very bearable. It's always better than you expect it to be. That's one question I always ask my clients when they're getting a first tattoo. Is it better than you expected? And they always say yes. So, whatever you're expecting, it's going to be better than that. But otherwise pretty bearable, as long as you keep it small and you don't go in any extreme placements which are bony areas on the body.
Does it make a difference whether doing it with machine or hand piercing in terms of pain?
Hand poke? The
hand
kind
poke,
of...
yes. Yeah, hand poke.
But I do believe, Anoushka, you'd be able to answer this question better. You might have...
Yeah. So hand poke is a little less painful. Personally, because I have both machine and hand poke tattoos, hand poke is a little less painful because it goes over the skin less amount of time. So usually if my client already has a machine tattoo, already has a few tattoos, and they ask me about the pain, I generally tell them that if you have a machine tattoo, you'll be fine. There's nothing to worry about. Pain also, as Suhasini said, it depends on where you're getting it, the size, and also the kind of needle you're using. That also, I think, matters. For instance, magnums hurt a little bit more if you're filling in. That hurt a little bit more in both, I think, machine and hand poke. Otherwise, the pain is bearable for both. Mostly, I think machine, even though it's said to be a little harsher, I have both machine and hand poke tattoos on myself, and I think the pain there's not much of a difference. It also depends on the artist, actually. So regardless of if you're a hand poke or a machine artist, if you don't know how to do the procedure right, you can leave scar tissue, there can be blowouts, and if you're not careful, it can obviously cause more trauma to your skin. So that is also one factor, that you go to a good artist who knows what they're doing, who knows how to treat the skin and different body parts, because not every body part is the same. Some, obviously, like your skin on your thigh will be different from the skin on your neck. So a good artist will know how to treat, the skin differently. So that's also a very important part.
Correct. It's very rightly said. And also, somehow this part also falls in my area of expertise, the pain in various parts of the body. And yes, very rightly said that it makes a lot of difference on how skillfully it is being done. A tattoo done very skillfully will feel much more comfortable than one which is done by an unskilled way. The better instrument and equipment and sharper the needles they use, the less painful they are. And of course, it makes huge difference on what part of the body is being done. If there's an underlying soft tissue and muscle, it is less painful. But if it is directly over the bone, you may feel a little bit more pain. So with where the skin is thin and the bone is close to the skin, the pain will be slightly more. Then things like palms, if you go to palms and soles, of course they're very, very painful areas, and so obviously would like to. I mean, the tattoo artist will always tell you that how painful would it be. If my friends ask me how painful it is, what I do is I pick up a blunt pencil or something like that, and I give them a hard scratch on the skin. I said, this is exactly how it will feel. It feels like rough, or a bit scratching with pressure. So that's the typical feeling that you will get. So it's not very comfortable, but it's not painful either. And because if it's a larger tattoo, then that feeling continues for a long time. That's why you may feel slightly uncomfortable. Do you guys use any anesthesia ever?
No, we don't. We don't use anesthesia.
So sometimes if a person has very low threshold for pain and they really want a tattoo, what they can do is I can recommend at best top lap. I will tell them to maybe put that an hour.
Yeah, so there is lignocaine. There's a lignocaine cream that you can apply like before tattooing, like at least 1.5 hours.
You know about this a lot better than we do.
Yeah.
But
that's why I wanted to know whether you guys use it or not.
Yes.
We have just started pain-free tattoos. Just started.
Right.
I just got a cream that works well.
Right. So he imported one of these just local
Which is
anesthetic.
just meant for tattooing. That's a tattoo numbing cream.
There's a brand.
Yeah.
Right. So these days surface anesthesia is available in the form of gels, creams, and sprays, which we do use in our medical practice. A similar thing can be used for tattooing and piercing also. So what are the different types of, let's say, what are the different methods of doing tattooing? Because one is machine, the other is the hand poke. So tell me more about that.
I think that is not just for like color. People get scar tattoos as well. It's called body branding and body scarifications. So by the way, my name is Varun and I started tattooing like 10 years back when I was in school. And like I'm like equally tattoo artist. So I do piercings. Like I've started piercings like 5 years back. So I'm just into piercings. Yeah.
So one is the machine. The way to do is with machine. The other is the way to do is with the hand poked needle. These are the only two ways of making tattoos, or is there any other way of doing it?
There's other like people get scarifications, body scars, and body branding as well. Yeah.
Body branding.
So that bamboo technique where they have that
that's just,
in Indonesia.
that's
also hand poke actually.
Yeah.
It also comes in the category. Does it, Anoushka? Again, this would be more something you'd know about. The bamboo stick tattoos that they do in Indonesia. Are those also hand poke?
Yeah. That's
So it's hand tapping actually.
Hand tapping, right?
Yeah, in a way it's like hand poke because there's no machine involved, but the method is a little different because they use two instruments to do it. So it's a little different. So broadly it's hand poke and machine, but for example, Japanese style tebori is again, it's different. It's very different from the contemporary hand poke. Even in India, traditional hand poke is very different from the contemporary hand poke that we do now. So
how would they be
broadly,
different?
it can be machine hand poke, but it can be divided into other categories.
Anoushka, how are they different? Those traditional Indian tattoos, which जो कि कुंभ के मेले में किया जाता था tattoo.
Yeah. So those are, I think those are done with charcoal, ink made out of charcoal and bamboo needles.
There was also hand poke tattoo, I think.
Which one?
Sorry, what? I'm so sorry.
Traditional Indian ones, which one would say go to a mela and a fair, and then there would be artists who would be doing that. There's also hand poke.
Yeah, that's also hand poke. Yeah.
What are the different types of inks which are used for making the tattoos?
For hand poke?
For hand poke of a machine, both.
So I think now in contemporary hand poke, there is not much difference in machine and hand poke. Talking about just the contemporary style, we use the same inks, the same precautions, same hygiene. We just use, even the needles that we use are the same needles that I use in my tattoo. The only difference is that we don't use a machine, because the machine component is not there.
How
Otherwise,
old is it? There's a question. How old is the tattoo art?
Thousands
I,
and
I,
thousands.
how old it is?
yeah,
Very old. Very old.
yeah, it's very old because it's been there for ages, and because if you read the history and look at the tribal people, and there the tattooing and piercings, and body scarring is a very, very old tradition. In the cities and urban areas, it's become a fad now, but the tribals have used this art form for a very, very long time. Maybe I think it may be older than the other art forms because there was probably no other canvas available in olden days to express your art on. So people would use their own body to express themselves. So I think it may be very, very old. So yes, Suhasini.
Actually, yeah. So what I know of, I heard this somewhere, was that back when we would have class system, the rich would put on jewelry on their body as ornaments, right, to decorate their body. But the poorer classes, people who couldn't afford jewelry, people who couldn't afford very nice clothes, they would make tattoos on themselves. So mostly, a lot of tribal tattoos that we see, they're in the form of jewelry around the neck, around the arms. So it was a sort of jewelry for the poorer people who could not afford jewelry. But it's ironic because now tattoos are supposed to be very expensive. Good tattoos are supposed to be expensive. So it's turned the other way around. But back then, that was the reason why,
That's very, very interesting. Yeah, very interesting perspective. Ornaments for the tribals. Amazing. That's very interesting perspective to And in fact, I think so. These days also, it is kind of similar. So there are tattoos which are expensive, and there are tattoos which are not very expensive. Or in other words, tattoos can be done for lesser price and greater price also. Interestingly, like we have a household help, and she has one very nice tattoo, in on forearm saying "mom" and "dad," and a big one. So I asked her, where did you get it done from, and how much did it cost you? And I was really surprised how inexpensive it was. I will not quote the cost here, but it is quite what it takes. So actually, tattoos are affordable also, and they have a whole range. So I think people of any, pocket depth can go for tattooing. So how does a tattoo work? How does it leave a permanent mark in the skin? Suhasini?
Right.
Yeah.
So anything that crosses the first layer of your skin, the top layer, so ink when deposited on the second layer of the skin is going to be permanent because that stays. So I'll actually also answer your question about inks. Is that how many types of inks there are?
Yes. Yeah.
You remember how as kids some people would get ball pens stung in their hands and then they'd have it forever. They still have those. He probably has one.
So I did this with the fabric color in my back in school, and this one as well.
You need a pin that goes deep enough to cross the first layer of your skin, and then that's a tattoo, right? So inks, when it comes to inks, there's inks for $200, there's ink for $2,000. So there's a whole range of ink. There's also fabric color which you shouldn't use. This we will not advise. This is just a joke, but right. So that was about inks. The other thing I was saying was, what did you ask right now?
That how does it leave a permanent thing in the skin?
Right.
You said
so
that once you go to the deeper layer, yes.
So the top layer of your skin, of course, gets regenerated. So anything that's on the epidermis will go off. Anything that crosses the epidermis goes to the dermis will stay permanent. So that's how ink is permanent. Again, in different areas of your body, like say your fingers, the skin's very super thin. So if you can see my finger tattoos, they're lighter than the one here. So even with the level of permanence, and over the years, this will get lighter. So it depends on the thickness of skin, but basically anything that passes the first layer will sort of always be permanent.
I want to answer about ink. So there is one artist in Switzerland. His name is Louis Philippe, and I think he's one of the biggest tattoo artists in the world. Like, if you want to book an appointment, you have to book an appointment like 2 years before you want to get it done. So he used fabric color. He never used a tattoo color. He used fabric color for tattooing, and he's a Japanese artist. And he tattooed at, I think, almost half of Japan because he's a Yakuza artist. And yeah, I think fabric color doesn't harm.
So basically, ink is just a lot of time.
Yeah.
So what are the different colors which are possible to have in a tattoo?
I'll answer.
Any color, really.
Any color, okay.
Any color.
Okay. Because
But
traditionally
so
we had only those green or bluish green color, But now, of course, we say a whole range of colors. So any color is possible in tattoo.
any color is possible, but the outcome depends on your skin tone. More like a skin undertone, actually, not skin tone. I would say undertone. So, for example, if I tattoo a blue on myself, like a rich blue, it might turn out a little teal because I have a yellow undertone, because Indian skin tone has yellow undertones.
Right.
So the outcome with colors, especially on darker skin tones, can be a little different. But it is possible to tattoo any color on your skin.
Great.
Yeah.
So to add to the thing, let me just explain to my audience that the gets deposited on the very base layer of the skin that is underneath the dermis. At the bottom of the dermis, there's cells which are called macrophages. These macrophages, they actually engulf the pigment, and it stays in forms of vacuoles in those macrophages forever. It is isolated from the rest of the body. It does not get released in the body. It does not go into your system, but gets encapsulated within those macrophages, which remain there forever. That is how the skin, the tattoo remains. So those macrophages kind of isolating from the rest of the tissue. Epidermis renews and falls off, but the dermis and the base layer of the dermis actually remains intact. As far as the colors are concerned, any color, is a mix of different frequency or wavelengths of light. So you add some wavelength in the form of a pigment to the skin, but your skin also has some wavelength. The net result, what you see, will be a combination effect of the two. How the two pigments, the artificial pigment and your skin pigment, how they mix and how do they look like. So that is true for all color perceptions. So this is what Tanshi had said. Coming to the, are there any side effects, any problems with the tattooing? Can they cause allergic reactions or any other reaction?
They can, actually. In rare cases, they can. So most of the tattooing that we use now, it's obviously it's gone through numerous checks, but it's always a possibility. In this case, if it happens, it's up to the artist to identify when there's something wrong going on. For example, if there's too much redness, if there's too much swelling, then there can be a problem. Even ink sometimes heals differently on skin. For example, on myself, red ink, how it heals, it usually turns into a bright pink, and then once it settles, it's red. So these are also some differences. I'm not sure if this is a common thing, but it happens on my skin tone. But allergic reactions are possible.
But you guys do take precaution. You guys are aware of it, and you are able to deal with those situations when they could happen. Yeah. Another interesting thing which recently I came across is that that people who have got scars in the skin, it's possible to have that scar integrated in a tattoo to give it a totally different meaning and shape. Suhasini, can you tell us about that?
Right. So people are getting very creative with the little fishbone tattoos you must have seen, where when there's a mark of stitches, there's a stitches scar. They will do a fish head and a tail, and it becomes a fish bone tattoo. So yeah, a lot of creative stuff like that. Very recently, there was a picture that went viral on the internet where this woman, she had a big third-degree burn all over her neck, and she got a big tattoo here, and it completely went away. But of course, there are things you have to keep in mind before you either tattoo around or over a scar, is that it has to be old. The scar needs to be old. It needs to be properly healed. And then, yeah, it's completely fine. I think it's a beautiful way to maybe once celebrate your scar or get rid of it if you don't like how it looks.
So do you tattoo on the scar or only around the scar?
You can tattoo over it. It hurts a little more because the tissue is already damaged. But if it's a scar that's completely healed, it's an old one, you can tattoo over it or of course around it. It has to be properly healed though, and an old scar. Nothing fresh.
So Varun, you mentioned about scarring. So if body already has some scar, And can you add some more scarring to give it an artistic shape, or maybe add some tattoo elements to it and make it look something more beautiful rather than a blemish?
Yes, we can do.
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's pretty amazing how some scars can get camouflaged with the right tattoo, with the right idea. It's almost like they're not there at all.
How about people those who are prone to keloids? And so, do you advise them to get tattoos done, or do you advise them to avoid it?
If you've got active keloids, I don't advise them to get tattoos. If they want to go to their dermatologists and ask, if so say if somebody's prone to keloids on their back and they want to get a tattoo on their arm, they still have to go to the dermatologist once, get a, you know, if they say that it's fine to go ahead with it, then we can do it. But if you're prone to active keloids anywhere on your body, then I don't recommend that you get a tattoo, because while healing, before, after, if something comes up, then there might be complications. But if you've got old keloid marks, if you've got 1, 2, or you've recovered from an active keloid problem and they're all old, it's not active, you can go ahead and get a tattoo.
Tanshi, do these tattoos remain the same for lifetime, or as you say grow or grow older, do they change shape, size, color, texture, whatever?
Oh yeah, of course. Skin isn't like paper. Skin isn't a canvas. It changes over time as we get wrinkles. Maybe where you got a tattoo, you might get a scar. It changes over time. Ink also fades over time. For example, if it's exposed to sunlight, it's going to fade. The sunlight will break down the ink. So it doesn't stay the same. And that's something we usually tell our clients also, that it's not going to stay the same. It's going to change over time. It ages as you age. Most people actually really like that part of a tattoo because it's like a part of themselves rather than a separate element on their body. But yes, like I said, it changes over time.
Suhasini, suppose say we get a tattoo done, and later on we realize this is not what we wanted, or we want to get rid of it. No, I mean, I got my girlfriend's name tattooed on my forearm, and then I broke up with her. No? And I wanted to remove her her identity from my life completely. I want to get rid of the tattoo. Is it possible to get rid of the tattoo?
Yes, we deal with those every day. Today we've done it.
Ask me.
Yeah,
I'm
so
like, I don't want to be a cover-up artist, but unfortunately,
sorry guys,
yeah,
I give them
because I do cover-ups. I do cover-ups. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So what do you recommend people that when they're going in for a tattoo, that what should they really seriously think? Like my son, when he was thinking of getting a tattoo done, I told him, look, fine, right now you're a teenager and you have a particular way of thinking and some fancies and all. So you take your time to decide that whether you want to get your skin permanently inked or not, and what do you want. It should not be valid for today. It should be valid for 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and for your entire lifetime. This should have meaning for you for the rest of your life. Only then go for it. And he did that. It took a lot of time. Suhasini, he worked with you, and he took a lot of time. And together you worked on the design, and then you finalized, and then you did it. And of course, I know that there's such which is going to stay for lifetime. But do you also, spend the time explaining to your clients about the same thing?
I had a client today who came in who was, I think, 19 years old, and he wanted the word death written on his hand. So when I get those kind of people, and I do a lot, so it depends on the age group. Usually people between the age of 16 to say 21, when they come in with an idea which is extreme, when they come in with an idea which I know is not something which is going to be permanent in their lives, which is very situational based on what they're going through, then I will give them a counseling session. I will let them know that, this is 90% of the time I'm pretty successful at also changing their minds, because I can talk from experience. We also do cover-ups here, and usually they listen. But yeah, those kind of extreme ideas, and in that age group, when I get them, I do change their minds, because
so it's basically the idea is to convey to the audience it's very important to spend time on your thought about your tattoo, whatever you're going for, which part you're going for, because this is something which is going to stay with you for lifetime. Do not think that you should change it. Also, it'll become your mark of identification, legally so. You can actually put it as a mark of identification on all the legal
Right.
documents. Tattoo on the left arm, tattoo on the right arm, tattoo here, tattoo there. These are marks of identification. So they go with your ID. And if you want to erase them, then erasing the tattoo is not an easy task. It may leave behind a scar. You may have to actually cover it up with another tattoo or something else. No, am I right, Suhasini?
Yeah, so there is a laser procedure that you can get done to remove tattoos, but honestly, my views on it are extremely mixed because one, I've seen a lot of disastrous results on people who've been through certain sessions of laser. So one, it's very important, I think, to pick your dermatologist right. Two, it's never going to be 100% successful. It's impossible that you have a tattoo here and you get it lasered and you get your skin back how it used to be before the tattoo. So you will have either hypopigmentation or hyperpigmentation, meaning your skin there is going to be lighter or darker, and then you have to end up you end up getting another tattoo on top of that anyway. So there is laser. Also, it's extremely painful. It's known to be, as far as I mean, in my knowledge, known to be one of the most painful lasers there are. Also, 5 times more expensive than the tattoo itself. So when somebody comes to me with a tattoo that they don't like, my first recommendation is always that they go for a cover up because they are going to cover up the laser mark later on anyway. But there might be a burn mark added to it. So there might be a tattoo and a burn mark from the laser, and then you get a tattoo on top of that. It's just not a good deal.
Let's talk more about piercing. And first of all, Varun, your T-shirt is very appealing, and I'm sure that my son, if he's watching it, he'll be really liking it very much because we're both fans of Metallica, and my son feels proud of the fact that I am fan of Metallica. So coming to piercing, yes, traditionally nose piercing and ear piercing are the common things. First of all, how painful is that? How to take care of that? And who should get it done? I'm talking about the piercings, which are traditional ones only for the time being.
So, like people come to me with their small kids that they want to get it done. Usually, people get when they are small. लड़कियों के कान में piercing करते थे. So this is, I think, this is ऐसा नहीं है कि it's compulsory that like elder should get it done. Anybody can get it done. And about the pain, I think I don't know about other artists. It's all about me. I do pain-free piercings. It just I'm very quick in piercings and everything. And what was your third question? So sorry.
So the pain is part of your routine, and then that for the conventional piercings, who should get it done, and what is the best time and best age to get it done?
As I told you that there is no age limit in piercings. Anybody can get it done, and anybody can get it done.
So, and how do you take care of those conventional piercing, the nose piercing, the ear piercing? How to take care of them?
I recommend people that they should clean their piercings 3 times a day with sodium chloride, salt water, and he or she not supposed to eat chickpea because it inflammate your piercing. And about aftercare, I recommend tea tree oil, which you can apply on your keloids because sometimes keloids happen on your ear. This is half bone, half cartilage. This happens every time. People they always complain about the keloids. So I recommend tea tree oil. They can use it for 3-4 days, and everything will be fine.
What are the other areas which are where piercings can be done, or where piercings are possible, or where people are getting piercing done? Which are the other parts of the body?
So basically, nose piercings. People are getting belly piercings. Usually, girls are getting belly piercings. Boys are getting nipple piercings. Girls are getting nipple piercings. And what else? Nose septum piercing. This one, eyebrow piercing, bridge piercing, nostril piercing, and
she's showing hers,
Yeah. So there are a lot of places in your ear, just like this is lobe, helix, rook, tragus, antitragus, conch. Yeah, there are a lot of places that you can get it done.
Right.
Lip piercing, tongue piercing. Yeah, this is Madonna, Medusa, and Marilyn Monroe. So there's a lot of like piercing people can get it done.
So, and what are the ornaments which are worn on these piercings at various places?
Different jewelry.
Different jewelries. Yeah,
Mhm.
usually I use titanium and surgical steel because I'm a piercing, I'm not a jeweler. So I recommend people to use it like it's a surgical steel, which is yeah, so which is non-reactive reaction. There's no reaction for
Yeah.
uh,
So once
titanium.
the piercing, the healing is completed in the piercing, then what kind
Yeah.
of jewelry do you recommend that what care should people take that avoid this kind of jewelry and only use that kind of jewelry? What are your recommendations for that?
So I recommend surgical steel. Once your piercing healed properly, then you can use silver or gold and titanium. That's it, and
Okay.
platinum
So,
also.
so one should not use those synthetic or those coated and artificial jewelry in the piercings at all.
Yeah, yeah. You should not use that because there is no reaction of surgical steel. So I recommend surgical steel. I use surgical steel.
Yeah. So that's very rightly said that.
And also we can use rubber. There are rubber jewelry also. Rubber. You can
Right.
use rubber jewelry. Yeah.
Right, right. So while the piercing is raw, we have to be very, very careful. It should not get infected. It should not be exposed to any toxic elements, So it has to be a sterilized surgical steel wire, which should be used, or a sterilized, a rubber or a polymer or a silicone, which should be used to keep it open. And once the healing is complete, then also you should take care of the piercings and use only those those metals which are inert to your body and which are namely silver, gold, platinum. Even I would recommend that one should not go for any artificial jewelry because you do not know what is the coating made of and what effect that coating will have because inside the material may be something different on the surface the material is very different. Those are only basically the attention in making those jewelries to make them look beautiful, but not much care has gone into choosing the right material to coat them. And often those materials can cause toxic reaction not just in the area in which they come into contact with, but those toxins can get absorbed into the body, can have distant effects also. So when choosing the jewelry, especially through the piercings, you should be careful to choose only the inert proper metal. Any other precautions that you would recommend for people who are thinking of? So again, I would ask you the same question which I asked with the tattooing also. Today, say I feel like having a piercing on my navel, but tomorrow I find that no, it's not looking very, very good. I should not have gotten it done. Can it be reversed? How easy is it to reverse?
No, not possible because if you come like if a person comes like day after, so it's not possible to change it, but it's possible to remove it and let it heal first. Then you can get it another one like in few days, 15 days or maybe 20 days. Yeah. So it's like you have to wait and let it heal first because we cannot disturb the skin on the same area. Yeah.
Right. So rightly said that from the medical point of view, also a piercing which is done, especially if it's healed, you'd have to actually excise and remove it, make it freshen and let it heal. And once the healing is complete, then you can think of doing anything around it or away from it. So reversing it is not easy. And also in the ear piercing, also do not wear anything very very heavy. Those the piercing should not, the lobules should not hang, because if they hang, then your piercing may become actually large and may become unsightly, and you may have to undergo a procedure called lobuloplasty, which the ENT surgeons are, more or plasticians are very apt at doing that, but it's not an easy procedure also. So one has to be very, very careful in taking the first decision in terms of whether tattoos or piercings, and then taking proper care of that. So we are almost coming towards the end of our show. So Tanshi, I'll start with you. Give us your final message for the audience, in terms of tattoos and piercings also, because you are into piercing as well, I know. So what is your final message to everyone, to the youngsters and to the oldies like me as well?
I think get whatever you want. You want something meaningful as a tattoo, you want something just because you like it, that's okay. Do your research, think about it, and go to a professional. There are a lot of, since tattooing is not very regulated in India, we have a lot of people who are not taking the right safety precautions, who are not doing it right. Whether it's in terms of hygiene or leaving scar tissue, it's very common. And I would suggest that people do their research, people go to a good person and not bargain, actually. So a tattoo, when people want to bargain for a tattoo, I think that's very pointless. This is something that you'll have for your entire life almost. Spend the money. The money is worth it. You want to spend 3,000 rupees extra to go to a good person, it will be worth it. And people should do that. Otherwise, I think you should get whatever you like. Anything that speaks to you, whether it's something meaningful, whether it's something random, get it. Just get it done right.
Great. So I completely agree with what you said. No. So Varun, what is your message for the audience in terms of piercings and you do scarring thing also, So what is your message for everyone?
So always, a person always have to trust their artist, first of all.
Right.
If you enter the studio, if you ask for the piercing, I think you should have a trust in your artist, then go for it. Then go for tattoos, then go for piercings. Piercings are removable. You can remove it any day, any time. And tattoos are going to remain the same. So think before you ink. Always think before you ink and get piercing, whatever you want. Get it done. Like piercings are like, you can remove it, but tattoos are non-removable. It can be
Right.
either it can be covered or it can be removed by laser. And laser also have a scar. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. So Suhasini, coming to you, what is your final message to everyone, young and old, people who are thinking of getting tattoos done, people are thinking of adding more tattoos now, or whatever, just for everyone? What is your message?
Right. So I think they've both put it very well. What I can add to that is one, really, of course, think about your tattoo because it's going to be permanent. But also don't think too much. Sometimes people tend to think too much. It really intervenes with the artistic process of, the designing, the tattooing, all of that as well. So think, but then give your artist freedom. Pick your artist wisely. Look for authentic work. A lot of people are copy pasting off the internet. So just look for
That's
art.
true.
Just look for art. So pick your artist wisely. Look at your artist's portfolio before you go in for a tattoo.
And
Everything's
listen to
on the
your
internet. Internet's a big broad place now. Everything's out there. Everybody's portfolio is out there. So research your artist well. First, you research your tattoo. You have your concept. Once you have your concept, don't look too much into it. Don't have 20 references for what you want. Have 2 maybe, and then let your artist do their job. 3, of course, hygiene is very, very important.
Very important.
As Tanshi said, there are no regulatory bodies in India where there's no license involved. There's, you don't need to do anything to open a tattoo studios. They've popped up everywhere. So you have to be very smart about picking the right place. Be sure that everything that's been used on you is top-notch quality. All of that. But I think most importantly, go ahead, get a tattoo. It's now or never. We've had so many people come in since COVID. I think it's come to a lot of people. More people are getting tattoos now. So just keep at that and pick your artist wisely. We're here.
Great, fantastic.
I
So,
think
yeah,
Sorry,
yes,
I think one more thing I like to add in this is question your artist as much as you want. As much as you want. You want to know anything. It might be a bit of a hassle for them, but it's important that you know what's on your body and how safe it is. So question your artist. Don't be hesitant. You have a doubt, ask them. If they are being a little shady about it, then they might not be the right person for you. So think about that also.
There are a couple of questions which are there in the chat box for us, and Suhasini, I think you're the right person to answer them. And that what is required to be a tattoo artist and to choose a professional career? Because see, I know that you almost underwent a change of career in early part of your career itself, no?
Yes,
So
I
what is required to be a tattoo artist professional?
I think it should stem from an inclination towards art. Of course, all I knew was how to draw. I love drawing. This was never the plan. I was never going to be a tattoo artist. So all I knew was that I'm going to do something in the field of art. So one, you have a background in art. Although I'd like to add that it's not 100% necessary to be a good artist, to be a good tattoo artist. You just need to have a very clean hand. But I think an artistic inclination is a good place to start if you want to get into tattooing, because then your art is going to be original. You can be a very good tattoo artist if you have a steady hand and you're not creative. So if you really want to, you still could. But if you're creatively inclined, how you go about it is you do a little research. There's lots of different genres, of course, genres of tattooing. There's realistic work, there's line work, there's shading work, there's all sorts of different styles. So you look up artists, you see what you like, you see what you'd like to do. Like I did, I looked up what I like to do. And then I found an artist whose work I really liked. And then you go and you become an apprentice under them. You go to their studio, you work under them, you watch them work. Now, of course, there are places that are taking classes. There are institutions for learning tattooing, but I'm a very old school person. I like to teach how I've learned. I think first-hand experience is very important when it comes to tattooing, because you can learn all the theory you want, but unless you see how it's happening, you will not really know how to do it. So yeah, you become an apprentice under anybody, and depending on your skill set, depending on how well you can draw, how quickly you catch on, how quick a learner you are, it took me about 3 months to learn tattooing because I already had a background in art, but it could take even up to a year. And then, yeah, that's it. You become a tattoo artist.
And also,
like
you need a patience, lot of patience. And calm yourself, free mind.
All of that.
Yeah, relax.
Great. So another interesting question: that which is the biggest tattoo art you have created so far, Suhasini?
See, I'm a minimalist mostly. I like to go very small and intricate and delicate with my tattoos. So my biggest tattoo is not something I hold as a trophy. I don't even think I've put all of that work up. I don't like to think of it as my style of work. I am more into smaller, very detailed, nice little pieces. But I think Varun can answer this question better. He's into bigger.
So,
yeah, what?
So I've just started one leg piece. So I'm working on. I'm not a really big fan of Harry Potter, but there's a guy who loves Harry Potter. So I'm doing like Harry Potter from here till here, to your ankle, as you can see.
Yeah, the whole leg.
So I'm doing all the character, making all the characters. I'm more into realism, colored, and I do every art. Like I don't have particular art genre. I do Japanese, hyperrealism, realistic, minimal, dot work. So I'm into all art. So I've done one big leg piece. I'm working on one back, full back. So yeah.
Great. And Tanshi, how about you? The biggest one you've done?
So in handbook, it's a little, there's some restraints because you're not every dot by yourself. So I think the biggest tattoo I've done is about 5 inches, 5 by 5, which is on me only. I'm still relatively new to this and I want to move to bigger pieces. So I'll be doing bigger pieces. I know it's going to take a lot of patience, so I'm kind of gearing up for that. But someday, maybe I would like to do a full back piece. But right now, it's a small, even the biggest art I've created is small. So yeah.
Just one last question from me, Suhasini, is that that I've seen some patients who have got a permanent eyelining tattoo. So a makeup which is tattooed on the eye, eyeliner. So just let us know about that also.
Right. So about those, I can actually give a piece of advice. Is because I'm aware a lot of tattoo artists have started to do it just by watching videos online. What I'd like to say is that is a very specific course. People go and learn that specific type of tattooing. One which is eyebrows, which is it is a different needle, it is a different ink. Everything is different. There are different shades of black that you're supposed to use. So a lot of tattoo artists looking on the internet have started doing it. But you shouldn't. You should go to a specialist. You should go to a person who does specifically just that, the eyeliner and the eyebrows and all the facial aesthetic tattooing that people have started doing, the lips, all of that, because pigments are very important in that, and a lot of people don't have knowledge. You'd see a lot of these women with just black eyebrows because they went to the wrong person and the wrong pigment was put in their eyebrows and it's right on their face. One, it's a big risk. I would never do it. It's not my specialization. That's a very specific specialization that people take training for, have certificates for. So you should go to a person who has one of those certificates if you want to get something like that done.
Great, perfect. That's the great messages given and great wisdom shared. So I'd like to thank all my guests over here. Tanshi, thank you very much. Varun, thank you very much. Suhasini, thank you very much for spending time and sharing your knowledge with us and enlightening us about the tattoos and piercing. But my message finally for everyone would be that tattooing and piercing are basically permanent changes which you're creating, which you're wanting to create on your body. So be very, very careful. Give it a good thought and see that what you want to have. Be very sure of that. Choose the right artist. Give the artist an artistic freedom. Make sure that the artist is a professional one, taking all precautions, and it's not in just terms of, pain and all that stuff, because there's always a potential risk of infections being transmitted from one person to the other person as well. A professional artist will use disposable equipment, disposables, and will take care of the fact that they're not transmitting infection from one person to the other. So you have to be very, very careful about that. Many times that makes things more expensive. So don't try to cut corners. Don't try to bargain with that. The bargain will not be in your favor, because anybody who wants to earn money will still earn money. They'll cut corners on the essentials, which you would not like to have. So don't bargain, don't cut corners. Choose the artist right, and then you go ahead for it. And remember, that's going to be for a lifetime. So ticket is a new art form, a new form of expression on your body, which you will have with you for lifetime and cherish for lifetime. So thank you very much for joining us on this show. We'll see you again next week, same time and same place on Dhawans live chat with yet another topic of interest. Bye-bye. Namaste. And I'll again thank my guests and all my audience.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I welcome all of you to IBMTV and to this show, which is Dr. Dhawan's live chat, and I'm your host, Dr. Sanjay Dhawan. I'm an eye surgeon practicing in New Delhi. The live chat is a show which talks about any and all aspects of life, any subject, anything that concerns the life or it improves its quality is what we will be talking about. How to plan for it, how to prepare for it. So we'll be talking about all of this. Looking forward to seeing all of you every Friday night, 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Indian time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Namaste.